talks a lot, but delivers very little. Tonight we present to you a physician by training, a man who was born over the hill in Baintown, who came from humble beginnings, but he rose to the top of his profession. Someone who never forgot his roots. In fact, he is committed to cultural development, and of course, he's a part of one of the most powerful cultural organizations in the country. Are there any Saxons in the house? I present to you a family man who ain't faking on whether or not he loves his wife or love women, but a family man. I present to you a man who is committed to the empowerment of Bahamians. He will be, come February or before, the leader once again of the Free National Movement, and when election is called, he will be the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Please welcome Dr. Hubert Minnis, the leader of the official opposition.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You may be seated. After an introduction by both Carl and Michael, what can I say? I want to say that I have a great group who have accompanied me here today, and Michael and Carl had introduced them. I want to introduce again my wife, Patricia, who is accompanying me. I took over the F.N.M. at its lowest point. We had just come out of a great defeat. I was not afraid. I stepped up to the plate and I led the F.N.M. through all of this turmoil. Come convention, I will go in as leader. Coming out of convention, I will come out as leader. I think it's essential for you before, because this is to a single parent. I grew up and lived with my mother. 7 children, 7 of us, 4 boys and 3 girls. And I came from a typical Bahamian family. Single mother, 7 children, 4 fathers. But in spite of that, we had a determination to succeed. And I attended Catholic school initially, subsequently went to a government school. And I passed for St. Augustine's. But I knew, and my mother knew, that we could not afford St. Augustine's. But we persevered. And to attend school, I sold Nassau Guardian every morning. And after school, I would sell Tribune every morning, every evening. And the monies would go towards assisting with my school fees. And every Sunday, before I went to church, because I came from a Christian background, being a Catholic, I was an altar boy, and I had to attend Mass at least 3 times per day, 3 times on Sunday. But before I go into church, I would have shined shoes every Sunday morning. And the monies again would have been saved towards my schooling. But my mother and my father, who helped, they had a principle. They never bought me anything without me having some share or ownership in whatever they purchased. So if I wanted a bicycle, they insisted that I must also make a contribution to it. Because if I made a contribution, then the chances are I would protect it. But if they just gave it to me, there's a great possibility I may not care for it and subsequently waste it. In addition to that, I worked also after school in a tailor shop where I learned to make pants, and I subsequently sold, and again that would have helped with me going to school. While in St. Augustine, during my 3rd my 3rd form, which would have been equivalent to 10th grade. I wanted to drop out because things were tough and I knew that we could not afford it. But we were determined, my mother was determined that I should remain and that she would like to see one of our kids attend university. Every semester, my school fees were always late. And at St. Augustine, there was an intercom system. And I'd always remember that I was in form, what we call room 51. And every morning, there's always an announcement. And at the beginning of every school year, the announcement always came through and said, will the following students please report to the headmaster's office? Yes. And I always remembered those voices. I always remembered because they resonated and stayed with me. Hubert Minnis, Charles Bain, and Anthony Moss. And we would go to the headmaster's office and subsequently disappear. So the students would not see us for the remainder of the day, nor would they see us for at least the first 2 weeks of school, because we would have been sent home and school fees were not paid. It reached a point, then school opened, and the announcement came, and they would say, we now reach room 51. And the students would have said at that time to us, Minnis, Moss, Bain, y'all might as well leave. And we would get up before the announcement is made and subsequently leave and disappear. But it reached a point where it became embarrassing, and as my mother sent me to school, I would say no, it don't make sense. I'd stay home for the first 2 weeks because I know that the fees were not paid. So I was always late initially going to school for the first semester. 3 of us, Minnis, Bain, and Moss. And 3 of us are good friends today. We've always kept that friendship. So I persevered and continued to school. But growing up in Baintown, I would not have had a lot of the luxury that you see today with many people. We would not have had water in our home, and I would walk to the pump, my brother and I, and we lift water, what we call at that time tote water. And we would tote the water home, a metal tub, silver tub that was kept in the yard. You would know about a tin tub. And we all bathed in the yard using our Lifebuoy soap. We had little light, so with the cost of electricity today, it would not have affected us too much because we used the kerosene lamp. But in spite of that, we persevered.
Yes.
But who would have thought that a young man growing up in Baintown, a single parent, 7, in a 2-bedroom house, 4 of us in one room, my sister, who was younger than myself, and I, being the youngest, we both slept in the same bed, head to toe. And my 2 brothers slept in one bed, another bed, head to toe, in the same room. And with my mother, the remainder of the kids would sleep in the bed with her. But who would have thought that a young man growing up under those environments would have one day become a doctor in this country?
Wow, wow.
Who would have thought that a young man growing up in that environment would have gone off and eventually become the president of the Medical Association?
Yes.
Who would have thought that a young man growing up in that environment would have become chief of service at the hospital? But who would have thought that that young man would have left medicine, go into politics, and become Minister of Health in this country?
Wow.
Who would have thought that a young man growing up under those conditions would have not only become Minister of Health, but one day stand here in front of you as leader of the opposition?
Wow.
And who would have thought? Who would have thought that that same young man would one day stand up in this Bahamas, not as leader of the opposition, but as Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas?
Yes.
I say to you today that if I can do it, then each and every one of you can do it.
Yes.
And what I want to do is ensure that each and every one of you have that opportunity without having to go through what I've gone through.